to Matrix Talk on, May Day, May the 1st, 2023.
Uno this month.
And here we are. And well, we got a few people with us already.
Yeah, very nice.
Signed up for this one.
Nice to see you here today.
This is going to be a beginning ACT training, and we'll get into that. And as of last Thursday, we became accredited by the American Psychological Association to do CEs. And so if you click on the green button, it takes you to a checkout. And the first one we have available is ACT for anxiety and depression.
Anxiety and depression.
Right.
Yep.
A 3-hour one that will occur
June the 2nd, I think, isn't it?
June the 2nd? Yeah, Friday, June the 2nd.
Friday morning, 9 to 12 EST.
Hello from Colorado. Hello, Stephanie Ward from Colorado.
Hello, Stephanie, Courtney, Jasmine.
And we have 5 more, right?
Yes.
5 more that will be rolling out pretty quickly. And just to talk about it a little bit more with that, what we will do is record the presentation when we do the live webinar. Those will then get placed into an online course. So that, of course, are then available 24/365, whenever you want to sign on and do the stuff. And we were fortunate in that, as people who may have been with us for a while, we've been at this a long time. And so we already have all the infrastructure to do all this stuff. So we will, that is, do the online courses. Tina, our colleague that sometimes shows up on these, does a lot of that stuff for us. So, and we have a APA compliance person too. That's not one of us.
Yeah, because we're not always the most compliant.
Yeah. You can say that. But we don't do stuff without running it by the compliance.
We have our person that we write.
So anyway, so by all means, click on the green button and sign up.
Yeah.
And if folks didn't know, if you're a social worker or a counselor,
MFT,
those, of course, check with your
check with your state agency, but most of them,
most of the time,
right,
they count for you. And if you're a psychologist,
you're good.
You're way good.
Very good.
So anyways, so exciting. That's been very exciting for us. And
yes,
that was
really pumped about it.
Yep. December to the end of April, early December to the end of April to get that done. We can knuckle down and do our bureaucratic stuff.
Yeah. Well, actually, you think about it, we started way back in the fall.
Actually, we did. We just didn't submit the application.
We started.
Yeah. That's not like the kind of thing where you do it quick.
Yep.
APA is not that way. But we're going to do a bit. We've been training ACT. Well, I've been training ACT since 2005, 4 or 5.
Yep.
So we'll be doing lots of that, and we're going to do some today. So without much further ado, I will tell you a little bit of a story in that, you start training ACT, and when you first hits you, and you're reading about values and committed action and present moment experiencing and all this stuff, and it's just like coming at you with what do they call that? A fire horn, right? It's too much, and so your brain sort of defaults to teaching the terms. So this is what acceptance is. This is what values are. These are, and you teach that, and I did that. Phil did that.
Oh, absolutely started that way.
You start that way, but that's not doing ACT.
No.
And the metaphor that we use for that, it's like teaching the parts of a bicycle.
Yeah.
And so somebody walks away knowing the technical definition of handlebars and seats and pedals and such.
Gear ratios.
But they don't know anything about riding a bicycle. So over time, several years actually, I developed something called the ACT Matrix. And that was to get all of that stuff packaged together so it was rolling together, okay, and easier. And in the trainings, that the 3-hour ones and stuff, and even in this one, we'll explain how they attach, how they come together, so that you can, well, then know you can read an ACT book and know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing. So the first thing we'll do is show you the bicycle, which you will know is called the ACT Matrix. And that's the bicycle. And we'll even go back to the original thing of the first thing that you pay attention to in this is to notice the difference between your sensory experiencing, that's up at the top. That's your 5 senses, what you're seeing, hearing, tasting, smell, all that right now, versus your mental experiencing. Okay, what's going on inside your mind? Maybe it's like, gee, I don't know if I have enough time to do this today.
Yep.
Stuff going on inside your mind. And you just notice the difference between your 5 senses experiencing and your mental experiencing, which are happening simultaneously, constantly. But there's a difference between the two, big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in place, then we go to the horizontal line. And what that refers to is noticing the difference between how it feels to be content. You achieve something and like, oh, wow, I feel content in my achievement, that kind of thing, versus over on the left hand. Oh, Phil puts.
Oh, you know what? Hold on.
It's relief, folks. It's relief.
I'm going to get rid of get relief by getting rid of satisfaction and putting relief in. Watch this.
Relief up there. And very, very quickly, folks, just so you know, if you want the Psychology 101 course anywhere in high school or college, you know that there's positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcements when you get something, and negative reinforcements when you get rid of a yucky feeling, an aversive thing. So the right is positive reinforcement and the left is negative reinforcement. Just so you know, it's important to know that whenever you get the urge to start thinking, oh, the left side is away from values or something. No, it's not. No, not even close. Okay. And so with those in place, and now we got that on board and we're thinking about that, now we're going to delve into the 4 quadrants. And the 4 quadrants begin with the lower right. And that's where we always start, is the lower right. Who's important to you? And you literally answer that question. Who's important to you? And I could say, like, my wife is important to me. I have a dog at my feet. I'm not kidding you, folks. I really do. And her name's Jenny. And Jenny is important to me. So you could type in yourselves if you have the ability to type into chat and say, who's important to you? Because it really helps get you into this process. And ACT, by the way, is a process therapy. So I'm not going to get into what that is right now, but it's a process. So this really helps you start the process. So far, nobody. Phil's thinking about his sensei. My kids are important. Thank you, Stephanie and Ashley. And that's it. And we all have, quite the list of who's important to us, and we put it down there. Now, to keep on, with this process, Then we go to the lower left quadrant and we ask, there's stuff that shows up inside of people like fear, and it's yucky. We don't like fear. We want, yeah. But we humans have a boatload of yucky stuff that can show up inside of us. Can any of you think of other yucky feelings or even yucky thoughts that show up inside of you at times? Anxiety, yay, good for you. Me too, Courtney.
Yeah, I've had a bit of that on board.
Yeah, for me.
Not feeling good enough. Ooh, there we go.
I'm not good enough. Ooh, oh, and there's the thought. I'm messing up. I hate that thought. And hate. That's another one for a lot of us.
Yeah, I'm messing up.
Right.
Hate.
And the list goes on and on. One time we were fooling around, and I can't remember. Somebody looked up or Googled it or whatever, the number of thousands of yucky.
Oh yeah, it was like what, several thousand or something. Like that.
Several thousand.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to do that because Phil doesn't have that much room.
I don't have enough whiteboard. Sorry.
No, we've hit depression. If you click on the green button, you're going to see Act 4, depression and anxiety, or anxiety and depression. So we'll put depression in there. What the heck? So then, so there you got that. Now we go to the upper left quadrant, and whenever you go above the horizontal line in the matrix, you've gone into the world of observable behavior. So, like for fear, I might run to get away from something to lower my fear, or reduce or get relief from my fear. And you can see me running, right?
Well, yeah, there he goes. That's quick cue. Anxiety really does feel like a physical yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool. Yes.
Cool noticing.
You'll notice we say yes a lot, but yeah, it's fun. And then relief move, you like run. Anxiety, what kind of?
Yeah, you feel it.
Believe me, humans got a bunch of things they do to get relief from anxiety. Avoidance. Yeah. Perfect. Don't go. I might worry. Is that upper? Oh, worry is actually, Phil's going to go over to the left side of the lower left quadrant. And this is how you do it. He goes over to the left and puts worry because it's an internal event.
Like that.
There's worry, and you can do a little loop over there as well. But you might be wringing your hands while you're worried. Well, then he would put hand wringing.
Hand wringing.
At the top.
The favorite pastime of many people.
Oh, yeah. Many people do hand wringing, right? But if you're doing it just sitting there,
pondering,
you can be sitting and worrying. And so the sitting part is observable, and the worrying part is over to the
inside.
Left. That's how we do it. It's called inside loops. So there you go. So now you got the left side going, okay? And then you go to the upper right. Hey, yeah, guess what? This is the kind of stuff you do to approach who's important to you. What's important to you too, whatever. So like for my wife, I might go talk to her. And often I have found in my 35 years of marriage or so, if I talk to my wife, I feel very content. Obviously, it don't always work out that way, but it does a lot.
That's kind of the idea when you're doing it.
I might pet my dog. That almost always gets you content. I think that's why we have dogs. Pet the dog.
I might go and visit my sensei.
Visit the sensei. There we go. Go visit, folks. All that kind of approach. They're, technically they're called approach behaviors. And there you go. And now we have completed the matrix right there. Now, at this point, you can go a couple of different ways. We oftentimes put notice in the middle. Notice is numero uno in ACT world, because noticing cues up mindfulness kind of stuff, and many people in the ACT world love mindfulness stuff.
Yeah.
Phil and I don't do it. We don't do mindfulness exercises, but a lot of people do. We do a lot of notice. Notice.
That's as close as we get.
And you'll see in a little bit, just a little bit, why in English, why we use the word notice so often in ACT. Okay. But another thing you can do, and this is even noticing, you can say, gee, now that I've done this, I can notice like in 24 hours. We all got 24 hours in a day, right? That's it. No more, no less, 24 hours. So you can notice how much time you're feeling relief in 24 hours. You're doing stuff to get relief. So there's about a time spent where you feel relief. And then the other side is content. So about how much time are you feeling content within that 24-hour period? So you don't have to answer the question. You just contemplate. You notice how much time you're feeling relief versus feeling content. Ta-da! We just did the Matrix, and Phil and I, when we were writing courses over the weekend, came up with this. That's the bicycle. That's the ACT bicycle. So if you start noticing senses in mind, noticing content, relief, who's important, my yucky stuff, my relief moves, my approach moves, and I'm noticing all that stuff. I'm on the bike.
I'm doing it.
Even over time, I'm noticing how much time am I, feeling relief, and how much time am I feeling content? Interesting question.
Mhm.
That's the bike. You're on it. you're rolling down the street. You're pedaling even.
Leaning to the left, leaning to the right, giving it the gas, putting the brakes on.
Right. And bike is good because we all know that if you stop focusing totally, I mean, it's a great example, because if you focus too much, you sort of screws up the bike ride, right?
Yeah. You wander off the path.
You can't pay that close of attention. But then again, you can't pay no attention whatsoever, because you'll end up in a ditch or something, in bad places. So it's nice, and life is a lot that way, right? So now that and what we have found, and the reason that we do it this way with so many people, is Phil and I both learned way back in graduate school that
There's some travel.
right, but that's the most frequently occurring number of sessions for therapy is one. And guess what? I looked it up and recently, and even more recent stuff tells us that
It's
most
holding
frequently
true.
occurring is one.
Holding true.
Well, so so much therapy is thought of in terms of, well, it's going to last for
Yeah. We're going to
many
enter
years.
into this long-term thing.
Even the shortest of terms is 10, 11, 12 sessions.
Yeah.
Like CBT or whatever. Well, most people, that is the most frequently occurring number, is one. Well, we wanted to get it done, or at least something useful done, in one session.
Something they can take with them.
I did that whole thing in less than 20 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, so even if you're, and I had I used to be a chief of psychology. Okay. So we started a primary care warm handoff system. Those are very popular now. You'll see them. And this is what we did, so that you could take somebody, and in 15, 20 minutes, up to 30 minutes, you could do this. Phil used to work in a school.
This would be the first thing that my students would see.
No guarantee he's going to see students again.
Absolutely not.
Right. So just give that to them. And it's amazing how well people will remember. They just they'll see you later, And I literally had this happen in the VA. I worked in a Veterans Administration hospital. See them and they'll say, "Oh, you're that guy that showed me that diagram." What? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Once, right? so they had gotten something out of once, one thing, and so that's why we do it that way. So another way of saying that is we can get somebody up and riding the ACT bicycle in just
Very quickly.
one quick session. So say, well, okay, so how in the world, what's that got to do with ACT? Okay, well, it got a whole lot to do because remember, I was studying ACT and what are known as the core processes of ACT. And just quickly, Phil's not going to draw it because it's a nightmare to draw. But
Oh yeah, no, don't ask me to do
this
that.
thing called the hexaflex, and the hexaflex has all the elements, the core processes. And there's been research done on the core processes, and I'm not going to get into that.
Nope.
But they had that, and I was going, "Ooh, this ain't working. I can't do it fast. It's really hard." Oh, another problem I had, it was like training interns and postdocs, and even more so interns. I would have them for what, 3-4 months. Well, I needed to teach them ACT in 3 or 4 months because unlike like CBT, where they may have learned it in graduate school, oh no, not ACT, especially not back then. So I needed some much faster way to get people on board and doing the therapy there. And so, again, another reason for coming up with the ACT matrix. And so what's it have to do with this? So first, let's go to the colloquial, what I call the colloquial. And that is ACT. The broad processes of ACT are show up to the present moment. Okay, quiz, folks. To Jackie Adam is another. And anybody else? When I say show up to the present moment, where might that be in the ACT matrix? Show up.
There you go.
The present moment.
Yeah, here you go. Here's your cheat sheet.
Right. Because we humans, our minds can go to the past, our minds can go to the future, or we can be here in the present moment. And ACT is really big on getting people into here, the present moment. So where is that?
Anybody.
It could be anywhere. That's true.
Yeah.
But if we really want to do it,
Angela says upper right. Stephanie says
middle,
top right.
middle noticing.
Andrew says middle noticing.
You're all right, but what was I originally was doing was that noticing the difference between your sensory experiencing and your mental experiencing. If you're noticing the difference between those two, you are by definition in the present moment.
Right
You
there.
can't do that in the past, and you can't do that in the future. You can only do that
Right now.
So that's what it was created for. Now, I'm not saying any of you are wrong about anything else,
Nope.
but that's what it was created for, was show up to the present moment. And so, okay, think about it. You come in and say, well, I'm going to do acceptance and commitment therapy with you. And the first thing is about showing up to the present moment. So we're going to do a mindfulness exercise. Okay, people do that. Okay, in the VA, not a good idea. Where Phil
Not a good idea in school either, actually.
and Phil worked, he worked with a school full of, I'm just going to say ruffians.
Troubled youth. Let's
Double
just
use, like
troubled
the guy
youth.
from the guy from the movie would say.
West Side Story.
Utes. No, the guy that you said Utes.
Oh yeah, right.
But anyway, in the West Side, West Side Story. He worked with them.
Officer Krupke.
And you
Just
go mindfulness, and they check out on you.
Be.
Nope, they don't.
You wouldn't even finish the next part of the mindful. They'd be
And so if you just have them do that, they'll do it. They'll notice the difference in
Yep.
5 senses. Yeah, they'll do
You
that.
can do that.
And boom, you've got them into the present moment. So that's the show up part. Okay, so then we got show up, let go,
Ooh, let go.
and get moving. I'll give you all three. So it's show up, let go, get moving. So the let go is referring to letting go of your struggles with yucky stuff. Let's put it that way. Okay, letting go. So now, come on, I just gave you a hint. Where might letting go of yucky stuff
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. They need this.
be referring to? Here, go left, young man. Go left. Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's left and it's the right all the way. Oh, Courtney, you guys take it. Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, take care, Courtney.
Back to it's really the whole left side, really. So
Yeah, it's probably upper right.
like it's the whole thing because the upper part is part of your external visible struggles with yucky stuff. The worry stuff, like we had the worry example, where it's an internal thing, that's on the left side. Yeah, it's all about left side. So let go squarely goes on the left side. Show up squarely goes right smack dab in the middle. And now we have get moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so where are we going to put get moving? Well, we're going to put it, drum roll. Anybody want to guess? If we've got let go on the left side and we've got show up right in the middle, where might we put get moving? Oh, come on. Somebody be brave. Consider you.
Right.
Man, if you don't pass this test, give up. Yeah, it's the right. Of course, it's now. When I originally wrote the matrix, it was values and committed actions. Okay, the values in the lower right, committed actions in the upper right, and that is literally the get moving. So that's the let. Now, if you read it left to right, it's let go, show up, get moving. But in practice, most people do show up, let go, get moving. Okay. And so then there's exercises that you do. And we've already referred to one of the exercises that people do for show up, which is mindfulness exercises. Bill and I switched it to notice the difference between your 5 senses experiencing and your mental experiencing. It's still showing up to the present moment. And then actually, since it's so darn popular and people can wrap their heads around it, they'll oftentimes do get moving.
Yeah.
Which is values and committed action.
Yeah. Everybody.
Do stuff like value sheets and committed action sheets.
Yeah.
Hey, those West Side Story-ish kind of kids that Phil worked with? Guess how much they like filling out values and committed action sheets?
Well, yeah.
Anybody want to guess if you know any teenagers like that?
They were certainly good at telling me what I could do with my values.
You can take that value sheet, roll it up, and put it where the sun don't shine. That kind of stuff.
Or we'll make a paper airplane out of it or something.
Yeah. But yeah, it didn't go over very well.
Angel's correct, 0.
And so we're just getting into the practicalities of doing this stuff. We're not saying values and committed actions are,
No, it's all great stuff.
It's just you put it on the streets, and there's some places you just don't go.
It's a sour goat.
And and there was even lesser so, but even quite a bit of that kind of problem with the post-traumatic stress disorder and substance use.
Yeah, those folks really
that I was working with in the VA. And it wasn't that values and committed action sheets stuff wasn't working too well. So we go, what's important to you? And finally, who's important to you? Why? And it turns out who's great because it's concrete. Almost everybody has a mental image of who's important to them, and they'll answer you. And so, and they won't be offended.
Nope.
In any way, shape, or form.
Nope. They know the answer to that one.
Right. And so you say offended. Well, some people say, what are your values? You know, so why are you using that highfalutin,
Yeah.
fancy?
What do you mean by values? You try to insinuate I don't have any values?
Right, exactly. It's happened. We've been there, done
yeah.
that, had it happen. So we ain't ixnay on that. So we don't want that. So who's important to you? No, it's light, airy. People answer it. Let's go. And every once in a while somebody says people can't do it, but it's not. It's don't worry about it. Just play around with it. And people will finally answer that. So anyway, you got the show ups over there. So that's let go, left side, show up to the present moment is the middle, and get moving. And you'll see this written in places of the three. And I call them the colloquial, meaning the easiest to talk about. You could go talk to a group of, 6, 7, 8th graders about it.
Even younger. Yeah.
So they would get.
They get it.
They would get what you're talking about. So we do that. But of course, then you want to get graduate student and beyond kind of folks, and then they get into the core processes of ACT. And we already talked about 2 of them, so we don't need to talk about them again. Values, the lower right, committed action, and the upper right. That's the part. And so what starts to blow people's minds is diffusion. And they'll talk about, and then the other is acceptance. You'll notice that Phil and I don't use the word acceptance either.
Other than to introduce it, that's about
we'll
it.
Introduce it, we'll tell you about it, but let us also quickly tell you about the problems with using the word acceptance. In the populations that we worked with, frequently.
Yeah.
I'm talking 30, 40% frequently, but still frequently, you would get that. You mean I got to accept things the way they are?
I'm not doing that.
I don't want to. I don't want things to stay the way they are.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what acceptance is in ACT, but that's how they took it. And how they took it's 100%. That's it. So we don't say acceptance. We don't say that. It's a process. Acceptance is a process that they happen to put on the front of the therapy to make it sound like ACT, A-C-T, ACT.
Yeah.
It's not ACT, it's ACT, action. It's about action. So acceptance and diffusion are over on the left. And what that means is that diffusion is just fused. You're too fused. You're too tight about something, words, anything. You're just fused on a topic. If post-traumatic stress disorder, you're fused with the memory.
Yep.
OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, you're fused with neatness or disorder. Or if you see something disorderly,
Tighten it up.
Oh no!
No, it's not in the right place. Oh,
Right. The world's going to come to an end if I don't tidy it up. That kind of thing, So you're fused with it, and so ACT is about defusing. How do you go defusing that? But giving space to not, to not give in to the demands to tidy up, let's say, and instead, pay attention to, instead of tidying up, it might be better to pay attention to who's important to me. Hey, what a concept, right? So that kind of stuff is going on in the diffusion. And then once it's diffused, it's accepted, right?
Yep.
Oh, I can have these feelings of yuckiness regarding disorderliness and just have them. I don't have to do anything about it. I just keep them. One of the popular metaphors for this is I'll just put it in my backpack. maybe an imaginary backpack, but it's nevertheless a backpack. Called a
Well,
med-
that's right. I put it.
and I can take it along with me for the ride. I don't have to do it.
Way.
Now we're getting into the really fundamental differences between, like, say, ACT and CBT. CBT wants to fix that stuff. ACT just wants to get it where you can take it along for the ride. And that's really the process. It's not about fixing it whatsoever. And as I said, that ACT diffusion begets acceptance. Acceptance begets, I'm using a biblical term.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
It's the process. It's the let go process, right? And that's going on. And of course, that's happening on the left side of the matrix. And we're just, hey, what kind of yucky stuff shows up? Hey, we're matter of factly talking about this stuff. We're just,
Clients are completely fused with the idea of getting rid of anxiety, which we just keep coming back to the process of sorting via the matrix.
oh, that's one. And also, whenever they mentioned it, you can say, oh, cool. You're
Yeah.
noticing anxiety showing up.
Just like that.
Now, full stop, folks. Let's when somebody has brought it up and Phil or I or you, Jackie, say, oh, wow, you're noticing anxiety showing up. And they will say, oh, yeah,
Oh, I am.
you just engaged something that's not one of the core processes, but it's almost always talked about in all the ACT textbooks, which is the observer self. And you've engaged the observer self. And the observer self goes, oh, yeah, I am noticing anxiety.
Yeah.
And that's diffusion and acceptance. That's the
Pop,
let go.
pop back.
That's
pop back.
popping back from it. And you do that a lot with somebody that is mightily fused with the notion that they have to get rid of anxiety.
Right.
And you go, oh, so you're noticing that you're having the thought that you have to get rid of anxiety. Cool. And once again, I just brought up the observer self. We're helping people use their observer self to look back on this stuff.
Right.
And sometimes that takes a lot of repetitions.
You got to ride the bike a while.
Ride the bike a while before they get the hang of that noticing.
Right.
So be patient. It's
Yeah.
they will do it. It's like PTSD. People get hung up on, I need to get rid of this trauma memory.
Okay.
Okay.
You're noticing that you want to get.
You're noticing that you're having the need to get rid of this trauma.
Okay.
Memory. You're noticing.
Okay.
And so that's most ACT practitioners. Try that again.
Yeah.
ACT practitioners fall back on that.
Yeah.
That's not even matrix. That's just ACT.
That's just the way we do business.
Right. There's a fancy thing going on there. But the first fancy thing was observer self, right? So we got that. So now we've got values, committed action, we got diffusion, we got acceptance.
Right.
We've got showing up to the present
moment. Present
Well, we
moment.
don't have a self as context. Everybody's favorite topic.
Oh yeah.
Not. Maybe it is for Jackie. Maybe self as context is her favorite topic. But it's one of those core processes.
Oh yeah.
Talked about in ACT a lot. And so, what does that mean? And I've just recently got to where I can explain it relatively well. So let's give it a try.
It's in the course, folks.
Okay, it's in the course. But basically, you're the context. Okay. And that context,
Here it is.
you ain't going nowhere. You were born
It's just-
to that.
it's
You were
wandering
born to
around.
that context, and that context has just
It's
continued on till now.
just marching on till right
Just
now.
think of when they say context, think of, oh, that's the me that's always been me.
Yep.
Okay. It's me. I mean, there's a lot of talk about transgender, it's sex change and stuff these days. Well, guess what? The self as context still holds. They were born, stuff happened, they got a sex change and kept on going, but that me that's always been me, it's still there. It's just a cognitive thing. It's just part of that. So all of this stuff, now the stuff that happens like events and cognitions and feelings and such are content, not contentment. No. Content, meaning they're the stuff of the story, right? Oh, last week I was angry.
Yep.
That's the story.
Oh, cool.
Last week I crashed my bicycle. Part of the content of the story. It's the content of your story. So self as context means you're seeing yourself as this ongoing, and the way that we learned to say it many years ago is the me or the you that's always been me. It's the me that was born, that I was born with, that one. And then all this stuff happens within it. And the idea in ACT is that you're getting people it's the observer self that tells the story. Okay. So when I ask you, hey, Jackie, folks, I always pick on the last person.
Yeah, if you haven't figured that out by now, that's
So Jackie, I say, you remember your birth certificate says you were born somewhere at some time, right? You go, yeah. Okay. Now think of then all the way up till now, right? Your life story from then till now. When I ask you that question, it's your observer self that comes online to tell that story. And it's telling a self as context story. So that's why observer self and self as context are in the same package. Okay, that's all going on together. So now we have that on board. We got the ACT bicycle. We got everything, right? We got values. We got committed action. We got showing up to the present moment. We got self as context. We got diffusion. We got acceptance.
Yep.
We have everything. And yes, I on purpose put it all in the matrix. On purpose. Put it all in there, okay, to do all of that. And I'll go back to it again, and it's out there in books and stuff, and drives Phil crazy more than me when people say, oh, the right-hand side is about moving toward value.
Yeah, I get hooked on that.
And the left-hand side is moving away from values. Well,
nails on a chalkboard.
Right, well, then that would have absolutely nothing to do with diffusion and acceptance.
No.
Nillo. And plus, by the way, one of the very first renditions of the ACT matrix literally has positive reinforcement to the right and negative reinforcement to the left. I am a cognitive scientist at my core, and I was channeling B.F. Skinner and others and looking at that. So in the course, we talk about functional contextualism, and the core function of any behavior is satisfaction or contentment. That's the positive reinforcement, or the function of relief, to get relief from something. So that you're looking at that. Obviously, okay, folks, now that you've learned a little bit, self as functional contextualism, there's that word, contextual, context. So the context is, yes, the vertical line. That's where the self as context shows up. That's where that's coming in. So it took me many, many thousands of hours to develop the ACT matrix. It wasn't a whim, folks. It was literally over 10,000 hours of work to get it working, to get the bicycle together. So it rode.
Was dynamically adjusted.
And literally dynamically adjusting on the thing. Phil was even part of the end of that journey
Yes.
of getting it going, getting it where it really took off, and you went, wow, people, I could ride this bike, and other people can really ride this bike, and it's very functional. And like we know, like the modern day bicycle is a whole lot like a bicycle of the early 1900s. They really haven't changed a lot. So because it works, right? just does. So there you go. If you take not this course so much, not the one we have advertised, but we're about to do a big 6-hour course, and we do a deep dive into, and actually, my humble opinion, and Phil says so, a pretty darn understandable explanation of functional contextualism and even relational frame theory.
Oh, yeah.
And to let you know why that's important is the whole thing of ACT is based on the notion, here comes that word, that fusion, right? We get overly fused with stuff, and the stuff is language. So RFT goes about explaining how we get fused, how we get overly fused, and yay, how we can get less fused. So we'll go into that a little
Aligning
bit.
with your values when you respond in the top right, so that would be considered toward your values and not away from them. Can you talk?
No, yeah, that's toward. Can you talk about why you don't like these terms? Well, values we don't like just because people take them the wrong way.
Yeah.
Values is it's a pretty
Well, it's judgmental.
judgmental, right? There's too many people that feel you're judging them.
Yeah. You feel judged when someone brings up about values.
And they get to thinking about religious values and
The
political
right values versus the wrong values.
And, yeah.
What values are you looking for?
Values. And we're not saying any of that is true in the big sense of true, but you don't want it coming up and fucking up your process
when you're working with someone.
No, you're end up going to have a long conversation about values, and it is absolutely not necessary for the process. It's not going to add to the riding of the bicycle.
Nina's got it. You're welcome.
Right. It's not. So that's why the moving away from values is whoever said, I am going to.
That's what I'm doing right now. Watch me move away from my values.
Right. They don't do that.
Nope.
That's just not something people do. But nevertheless, whatever, the matrix just wasn't built that way. It wasn't. The ACT matrix is positive reinforcement over on the right-hand side, negative reinforcement over on the left. When you say it that way, the values and stuff disappears. It's literally built on functional contextualism, folks. The center line is the context line. The horizontal line is the function line. The function is either to, what's the fancy word for it, Phil? Approach, and you get approach behaviors and
approach behaviors. Aversive versus appetitive. Is that what you're going for?
Appetitive. Thank you. Appetitive. That's the fancy word for it.
Yeah, really.
The right is appetitive, and the left is
aversive.
So behaviors, and we all do it all day long. and staying out of the way of a bus, literally.
Way cool.
Behavior keeps you alive, and it works, right?
Yep.
And so it's fine. So we're not doing a judgment. Oh, that's a good place to end this. Okay.
Yeah.
Notice that this stuff is radically non-judgmental. ACT, full-fledged ACT. You don't even do the matrix. Just do ACT. It's radically non-judgmental. Absolutely. You don't throw judgments into it. That mucks up the process. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a caveat. If somebody threatens themselves with harm or threatens somebody else with harm,
you got to do something there.
that's duty to You know, you
Duty
gotta
to warn, duty to stop.
right. You got to bring off and do that stuff, but that's rare. Other than that, no. Including if you say, "Oh, where does that go in the matrix?" That's sort of on Wednesday, and somebody says, "Oh, they're important to me. Put it in the upper left." Well, Phil and I dutifully put it in the upper left.
That's where it's going. Exactly where they want it to go.
We don't judge. We don't even judge on that level.
Right, you are. Customer's always right here.
Right. And what happens, folks, is later on they'll go, "Hey, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
It doesn't go up there. It goes."
Now that I look at it,
Okay, yeah, we don't. So we just don't judge. We say cool a lot. Oh, cool. Cool. You're noticing that. Hey, that's cool. At least I say cool. So by the way, cool is adding an appetitive, adding an affirmation.
Yeah.
Contentment. Add to it. So you're always doing that. So what are you doing in the end of the day, folks, with this non-judge? Because you don't want to be judging. Why? Because the target of ACT. I just saw Steve Hayes wrote an article in Psychology Today just back in like February.
Yeah, I remember it.
You remember that? And
Yeah, I
the
remember.
target of ACT is psychological flexibility. That's the target. And it's actually right in the middle of the hexaflex.
Take out notice.
So take out notice and you put in psychological flexibility. So since psychological flexibility is the target of ACT,
Right there.
if you start adding judgments, you're going to suck the psychological flexibility right out.
Fleximeters go way down.
Think of it when you feel judged. How flexible you feel when you feel judged. You don't feel flexible. You feel like fighting.
Yeah. What do you mean?
I want to defend my position, right? And so no. So that's why you don't. It goes to relational frame theory, folks. Relational frame theory. Once you add a frame to a word, you can't take it off. It's permanently
together.
So the only way you can flex up, defuse something, is to add flexible frames. A metaphor is a flexible frame, the backpack metaphor. Hey, take your anxiety, put it in your backpack and take it with you. That's a flexible frame that you just added to anxiety. Well, if I say, you shouldn't be using that word anxiety. Stop, full stop. What did I just say? You shouldn't be using that word. That's a judgment. And boom, you just added inflexibility. You further inflexed anxiety.
Yep.
You made things worse. So in ACT, we're extraordinarily careful to not
do that.
To not add inflexibility.
Right.
So if you just keep in your head, I'm going to add flexibility. I'm going to add flexibility.
How can I add flexibility here?
And then go to ACT book and you say, well, how do you do that? Mindfulness. That's adding flexibility.
Notice.
Anything like that. That's adding flexibility. Metaphors. These pleasant metaphors that you hear. It's adding flexibility. It's always the target is psychological flexibility. That's what we're shooting for. Even the ACT matrix, not even, it was built that way. Look online, folks. You'll see lots of pictures of the ACT matrix with psychological flexibility right in the middle of it. It's always been the target. And I think a very worthy target. I really do. And by the way, they say, well, what's the difference between ACT and CBT? Well, the target of CBT is not psychological flexibility. Period. It's full stop. That's it. Nowhere in CBT will you see that its target is psychological flexibility. But ACT is, from its get-go, has been very focused on that. So that's what we do. So this was the beginnings of it. We'll do a little bit more on Wednesday and a little bit more on Friday as we add to the concepts. But if you want full bore treatment on this stuff, click on the green button and get continuing education credits for it. Do you have
Sure.
if we have additional questions, Kevin or Phil.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, so it's you.
Kevin or
Phil's putting it in.
Phil.
Don't listen to what I say. See what Phil puts in. You're going to ask questions. Yeah. Our email, we do have an email address at the Act Matrix.
There you go. It's either one of us. Kevin's first name or my first name at the actmatrixacademy.com.
Right. And we'll answer your questions and we'll be back and we'll tell you more. We're deciding which course to do next.
Yes.
Started with the anxiety, but we've got 5 more really written and ready to go. So within short order, we'll be doing one. We might be doing the big one just because.
We want to.
Hey, we're old.
Yeah.
We're semi-retired. We can do what we want.
We can do this.
And we're just having fun doing ACT courses now.
Oh man, are we?
Lots of them. So we'll do those. Oh, by the way, folks, if any of you say, gee, I wish there was an ACT course about fill in the blank.
Send it in.
Please send it in. Please use one of our email addresses and send it. Hey, I would like to an ACT course about working with students.
Boom. ACT with students. There we go.
ACT with students. Hey, Phil, guess what? I think there's like a 100% probability. Now that those words have come out of my mouth,
they're landing in somebody as they exit your mouth.
We'll be doing that course. Yes,
It's coming.
And the home address is always what is it?
ActMatrixAcademy.com, right?
www.theactmatrixacademy.com. If you go there, the courses are always going to be right at the top.
We're going to list them right at the top.
Right at the top. Right now we have, the one that you see below, but coming online as we bring the other ones online, there will just be a list of them you can choose. And as soon as we get them recorded and made into an online course, you can take them as a course. So,
yep.
Okay, we did it.
We have done it.
Actually, if you haven't noticed, we really like doing this.
and now the APA wants us to do it.
APA, I mean, they even liked us.
They gave us the seal of approval.
And so we were like, hey, cool. So we're going to do that. So we're going to be doing lots of these. Well, there will be an endpoint, but we keep thinking of them. Generally, folks, I hadn't thought of students, but that's that makes sense.
No-brainer now, you say.
But if you have one other than students, send it in.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. And we will we'll write it up.
We'll do it.
We have a process for writing it up and then making it APA compliant and then putting it into the course structure. So we've been at this a long time. So
yes, we have. Yes,
we're not newbies to the process. So. Okay. All of you have
but there used to be a link right on the
damn, where's Tina when you need her?
Yeah, we'll see if we can get that link back up again.
You know what?
On Matrix Talk, right at the top.
That's called Bling, and she can put that on the front page.
Yeah,
but it's never been on the front page on the www.
No, it's been on Matrix Talk.
So we need to put it on the front page.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you go to Matrix Talk, this one that we're on, the Crowdcast channel, which is sort of a blog thing, they're on there at the top.
Yep.
But we're going to put that on the Academy because I know every once in a while people want.
Yeah, Okay.
This has got noticing.
Yeah, we may have to reconfigure our
do one with psychological flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, you know what? We need to change it to
That's
contentment.
what I'm
Anyway.
thinking. We got to get move the satisfaction out, move the
Here
content.
we are reading our own T-shirts.
Time for a. Notice how we do it. What does it say there? Oh,
Can you hold it? No, is it backwards that way? Yeah, it's
No,
backwards that way.
yeah. Here it's back.
Now that works. I can tell now. We'll fix them up. We're having entirely too much fun.
Yeah.
So we better stop before we get arrested or something.
We're working on our wardrobe.
And we'll be back on Wednesday to do more of this.
See you all then.
Please sign up to the course.
Yeah.
At least one of you, and it'll make our day because
And we'll know that we're
We'll
heading in the
know
right direction.
plus we'll know it works.
Yes.
I mean, like the checkout
Oh, look
process
at that.
works.
What do you know?
We don't really know that yet.
Yeah.
So maybe you can, one of you signs up. We'll do it. And that one's for anxiety and depression. So, okay, bye now. Ooh, doo, 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 doo.